So it's time to start the second batch of upgrades. Nothing wrong with these upgrades. They did spectacular, but I'm trying to get just a little bit more out of it. So I'm going to replace the motor, I'm going to replace the ESC, and I'm also going to replace the receiver this time. We'll go ahead and get this stuff pulled out of here so I can prep it for new stuff.
Team Baxter.
The boat is completely stripped again except for the servo. I'm going to go ahead and leave that one in there. Got all the electronics out and it's time to start replacing them. First thing I'm going to do is get the receiver mounted. I'll be using the Spectrum SR210. This is a waterproof receiver. Spectrum is just rely coating their receivers now, so I'll get this in there. It's got an extra long antenna to accommodate the boat, and then I'll move on to getting the ESC and the motor mounted. Same procedure as before. I'll be using a 120 amp ESC from Hobby Wing, and I'll be using a 2930 Leopard motor 4-pole. Not too far from what I was using before, just a little bit of bump, and I'll be installing that in the stock mount. The procedure went just like the last time, pretty easy. Motor went in exactly the same way. ESC went in exactly the same way, just took a larger footprint, and it has a much larger power cable connected to it with these capacitors. But everything fits well within the restraints that need to be. The things that are different are on the back side of this tray. So the coolant tube is covered in a little bit, but there's a SR210. That's a Spectrum receiver. I've switched over to Spectrum so I can consolidate my remotes. So that's in there, and it has a nice long antenna that I'll be running up through an antenna tube. Also, I decided to change the servo. I have a high-tech 5645 MG in here. A little bit overkill, but servo I had on hand and it's pretty much new. So that went in there. Big supporter of high-tech, and I'm glad to have one in my boat. I've waterproofed it with a little dielectric grease, and it should do just fine for these purposes. Turn the throw up on it just a little bit so it can turn that rudder just a little bit more, and that's it for the servo. So I've got a 2930 motor in there, Sea King 120 amp SR210 high-tech servo. That's round 2 of the Blackjack 24 upgrades. Time to get it back out and see what we did with the performance.